What's up, everybody? Today I am with my friend
Angielski's Danielem.
Angielski's Danielem. Today I have a list: 13 reasons why Polish people secretly hate each other.
I think it's going to be a controversial
Very
video.
controversial.
I am going to try to be honest, not get people to hate me at the same time.
Well, yeah, good luck with that, bro. Number one, bureaucracy power trips. So you go to any office and the people that are helping you, they feel like they have control over your destiny, and sometimes they abuse it. True or false?
In my personal experience, false. People that work in the urząd, they can be rude and very direct and kind of, let's say, aggressive, but that's just the Polish style. I've never felt like they've wielded power over me, but that's maybe because I've been a Polish citizen my whole life, so I've never really felt dependent on like, your fate is in my hands, and they can kind of use that leverage. So maybe that's more of the, let's say, immigrant or expat experience.
Because I've heard this from Polish people as well, and I think it goes back to the communist days, where if you have a higher position, you have like power over other people, and I still think that permeates. For me personally, I haven't had too much of an issue because, like you said, they are rude, but usually they're helpful if you know how to ask correctly, right? And then from my experience, as soon as I start speaking to them in Polish, they're like, oh, okay. The whole demeanor changes completely.
Yeah.
All right, you're gonna love this one. Number two, grammar police. Polish people are such grammar Nazis. True or false?
That's true.
Yes. So every culture around the world, their language is important, but I think Poland, compared to most countries, the language is like one of the most prized possessions. Sometimes Polish people can be like professional hall monitors. No, that is wrong, that is wrong. Like a bragging kind of thing. It's like, I know Polish better than you. But it's funny because learning Polish is very confusing. One person will tell me one thing and the other person will tell me something different. And I've had multiple teachers.
That's a big thing. That's a big thing.
Exactly, perfect example. Dziękuję. Is it dziękuję?
Dzień or dzień?
Yes, yes.
I think it's dziękuję. Because you're not actually supposed to pronounce the L.
At the end, yes. Yeah. But then some people will yell at me for not pronouncing it, some people won't.
I am the grammar police.
Well, that's your job.
I've also started doing it in Polish now too. Now that my Polish is getting better and better, I'm correcting my wife. Like, I started correcting my parents. They make a lot of these classic mistakes.
Sure.
For example, how would you say, don't turn it off?
Something włącz, right?
Yeah, so it's supposed to be nie wyłączaj.
Wyłączaj.
But a lot of Polish people say nie wyłączaj, instead of włącz, they say ah.
Yo, the language is total mess. I said this in the beginning when I didn't learn Polish. I'm now a year in and I still have the same sentiment because you guys can't agree on the rules. And there are too many rules. It also changes based on region. Like in English speakers, UK or in America, we don't really correct each other. We're just like, okay, that's just kind of how you guys say it.
Totally. Right? It's a malleable language, you know?
Right.
And we are open to it changing and we go with the flow.
Totally.
Polish people are like more conservative with their language. You know?
And because it's a very precise language. This is the hardest part about Polish, in my opinion, is that every single individual action towards somewhere, from somewhere, in a certain context, has a different verb. And then that's why there's a big focus on precision. Whereas English can be like, it's more simple and it's a little more loose. All right, next one is complaining as a national sport.
It's true.
It is true.
100%.
Do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't want to place a value judgment on it.
Okay.
You know?
That's a very PC answer, bro.
It's maybe with age, but I find myself saying things like that more and more, where it's like, it's not bad, it's not good, it just is kind of thing, you know?
Sure.
Because links to our history, I assume.
I like that approach with kids because Asians are the same. And I think it makes very productive adults. Something that I really like about Polish women, and Polish men are like this too, but Polish women specifically, I like how useful they are. Please don't take this the wrong way, but you know what I'm saying, right? It's just that they're always trying to be helpful, and I think it's because the parents just complain about everything, or people just complain about everything. And it goes back to the mentality, it's like you don't want to be criticized for stuff, but that's one of the other points that we'll get to eventually.
Man, as someone who grew up in the UK, a lot of my friends and peers, they were useless.
Yes.
Really, like,
you
couldn't rely on them for anything. They just won't do simple things, you know? So, usefulness, and what's the other word? It's competency.
Competence, yeah. I think just this part of the world, Slavic people, Asian people, this is where we get along because intelligence is very valued here. And I like that in Poland, a lot of the most famous people are intellectuals or philosophers. Chopin, you have a whole entire park and monument dedicated to him.
I'm also guilty of being a complainer.
Me too, actually. Ever since I've been here, I've definitely picked that up.
Great. It's yeah.
Oh, I love this one. The Patriotism Olympics, bro. Ooh. Everybody's competing to see who is the best Polish person and who loves their country the most. True or false? I know my answer.
I'm going false.
Interesting.
Tell me about your perspective.
I think it's true. I think I see it in my comment sections a lot. People are constantly arguing about who loves their country more, who knows more of the history. I think there's this mentality is like, if you're going to be Polish, you have to subscribe to all of these things that make you Polish, or else you're not Polish enough.
The reason I disagree is because I feel like half of Poland are like that. And nowadays, like half of Poland, they're not even that patriotic. I think it's become like a political thing, and there's a political divide where I think the people who lean more right are really into the patriotism thing.
Sure.
They'll go to the march, they'll have a tattoo of an eagle on their calf, you know, and they'll rep it. I was recently told by someone, I'm just quoting here, don't shoot the messenger, but that like the right have hijacked patriotism and like the symbolism of Polishness. So some people not wanting to be associated with like certain political parties,
far right.
they won't hang up a Polish flag. And I've kind of seen more of that side, where it's not as like patriotic as even Polish people I saw in the UK. Yeah, they were very patriotic. But
Ooh, that's an interesting point actually that you bring up, because I've noticed Polish people from that live abroad seem to be more patriotic in some ways than the Polish people that live here. That's true. You're right. Mistrust of authority and rebellious spirit. 40 years of communism shaped mistrust of authority. There's a scarcity mindset where people hoard and try to protect themselves first. And you have this mentality of don't trust the system, don't trust strangers. You always have to rely on yourself.
We were talking even off camera about this like zero-sum game mentality, right?
Yes.
My dad's lived in the States, in the UK, and obviously grew up and now lives in Poland again. He's like, Polish people don't want to pay people for their services like what they're owed, and they're always trying to like save money and like protect their pockets first. He always said that in America, and you can maybe agree or disagree, people are just willing to pay people because there's this mentality of like, you deserve to get paid for your work.
Yes.
How much do you want? No problem. Whereas in Poland, it's like everyone's trying to negotiate down and not pay people what they want to be paid, and they want.
My parents are like that too, actually. It's very Chinese mentality as well.
I remember like COVID, half of Poland was like super on the mistrust side. Like, oh, I ain't taking no vax. I ain't staying indoors. I'm not wearing a mask. A lot of Poland didn't take the vax, if you actually look at the statistics. So that's that mistrust of authority. I think a healthy amount of that is actually a good thing.
Totally.
And even kind of protects the people in some way. Because imagine everyone was just like trusting of authority.
Yes.
It couldn't be like that.
No. And so I think two good examples of that happening now are when there was news that Germany was dropping off immigrants at the border near Szczecin, right? The next day, there were people at the border protesting, and I actually really like that. And then the new one is EU is saying that gay marriage has to be recognized in every EU country. And that seems to be an issue here in Poland.
Interesting, yeah.
I'm on the side where I agree with the EU because I think it should be recognized as a legit marriage because I'm pro-LGBT in some ways. I just don't think it should affect the church, and I don't think they should bring the whole entire gay pride parade, people having sex on the street movement here, right?
Definitely not. Polish people often criticize their own country for being intolerant. Nietolerancyjny kraj, Polacy są nietolerancyjni. Intolerance can be like extreme and toxic. But actually, tolerance can become
extremely toxic. Totally, yes.
You can't tolerate everything. As parents, for example, I have a son. I can't tolerate everything. There have to be boundaries, right?
Sure.
So there needs to be a balance between tolerance and intolerance.
That's a good point. Nagging, criticism, and open disrespect. And this, I think, comes from both directions, but I've noticed this a lot more with the women. Polish women seem to openly disrespect and nag their men a lot. It could also be from the parents to the kids. I don't know about if it happens from kids to the parents.
It's definitely one-sided, I would say. If we're talking about like parents and children, the parents wield the authority and the power. So like they can kind of abuse the kids and like either be disrespectful or nag or criticize heavily. But as a child, you cannot say shit back. You learn things from childhood and then you kind of carry them over subconsciously into your
adult
future
life.
Relationships.
Yes.
And I think it can go both ways, as in the man kind of taking advantage of his authority too much.
Could be.
But now with like the power balance shifting and feminism coming in, I feel like there's a lot of relationships in Poland where now the women kind of have the dominant role and position.
And I've personally seen the women doing a lot of the nagging and open disrespect more than the men.
Yeah.
I've even had instances here.
I see that too, for sure.
Yeah, here in this building where I was hanging out with these group of college kids, and we were talking about something, and the girl under her breath just said "mężczyzny on dupek" or something like that. And I'm like, I understand Polish, first off. Why would you say that? And then I looked at the guys who were next to me, and I'm like, are you guys okay with that? And they're like, yeah, it's just kind of a joke. And I'm like, all right, okay, maybe that's the culture. Personally, for me, I don't like being called stupid by women in general. Just like I would never call women stupid or all these bad terms, right? I think there's jokes, and in the context of like a relationship, banter and like playful teasing back and forth is very common here. I've noticed, but I think that's also carrying over to like the public spaces and even people you don't know. And I think a lot of guys just kind of sit there and take it from their women. So jealousy and of neighbor and envy. This is a big one.
Good one. Yes. Very good one. This is changing with time and with generations, but like looking at like, let's say my parents' generation, it's all about like prestige, not showing your bad side, and being better than or at least equal to your neighbor. Your kids have to go to good schools and they have to get good grades, to have good careers.
Asians were the exact same, bro. We are the same.
We are, yes, I know. And the salaries, where does that come from?
I think it comes from the communist roots as well.
Everything comes from that. And why wouldn't it, right? That's the history.
This is why East Asia and Slavic people have so many similar values, because we were all, other than Japan, but we were all kind of affected by communism. That's exactly right, yeah. Everybody dresses the exact same here.
Traveling to Warsaw more, I've seen people dress a bit nicer in Warsaw, I think.
Yes and no. I think it depends on the generation. Sure, people dress nicer, but I feel like there are clear archetypes of dress that people fall into. There's no self-expression.
There's no color. There's no. It's all one color palette.
Or if there is color, they don't match, and the fits are crazy. And this is one of the complaints that I hear from Polish girls when they talk about Polish guys, that they just don't try. Yes, and it kind of looks like their mom dressed them.
We are known for having like a good stock of programmers, right?
Sure.
And like techie people.
Dorks, nerds.
They kind of are the ones who don't really have the sense of style and dress.
But then you also have like the construction workers, like these guys, if you see how they dress. I kind of expected more from these guys, right? Because construction workers that I know in the US, they also don't care about dressing that much. Yeah. This is both a pro and a con, because I think one of the things that I like about here, Polish people in general are not the most materialistic. On the flip side, it means that they don't really care about the brand name and fit and all that stuff. Driving and road rage.
Oh. Good one. Glad you mentioned it. The driving culture is much better in the UK.
Really?
People give way much more often, which means, do you know how to say that in Polish?
Możesz przejść? I don't know. Like
that would be more like in the pedestrian context, walk, you know. But driving, przepuścić kogoś. It's the whole zero-sum game. I need to get home before you. I cannot let someone in front of me. I need to hold my position.
Yes.
Bro, we're just driving home. Like,
yeah, I don't, exactly, right.
I'm not gonna take your misses. It's people driving too aggressively to the point where it's very dangerous. I'm talking about like overtaking, driving too close to you. There's a lack of culture. Brak kultury.
And then going on to the next one, queue wars. So when you're at the line, sometimes it kind of feels like you have to fight for your spot. Yeah, that has happened to me a couple times where like I'll be in line and then a group of Polish guys, they kind of look intimidating, they'll just kind of cut. Damn. I don't think they do it intentionally. You just have to let them know like, oh, I'm sorry, I was here first. Don't be afraid to do that. Because once you do that, they'll usually be like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. And
100%.
Right.
They will take your kindness for weakness, right? If like if you can set a boundary and like express your concerns and stand up for yourself in this country, then you're okay. But if you can't, people will like take advantage of it and walk all over you. So
yeah, and this is the mentality of like, yeah, it's true. Passiveness is equal to weakness. The flip side is that if you are strong and you put your boundary, you get respect. Whereas I feel like in America or in the West, as a man, if you try to put your boundary, you get called names, being misogynist or toxic or whatever.
This is said about Russia a lot. They only understand violence. And sometimes as men, you know, violence is like a tool sometimes that you have to utilize.
Don't even say violence. aggression. Aggression is necessary sometimes. Yes. Because so let's say some guy shows up at your door and then you want to ask nicely, don't steal from me, you can't be here right now. No, sometimes you're going to be like, no, get the out or else.
You know, sometimes a good smack in the face is the only way to get the message through to them.
And it keeps society in check in a lot of ways.
And this works verbally too.
I read somewhere that here in Poland, people tend to avoid confrontation. So maybe there's a lot of like verbal stuff, but it's rare that it gets violent unless they're drunk. And then people be fighting all over the place. Is that true?
I've always been a pacifist. I don't like fighting. I don't really like confrontation either. Kind of learning to embrace it and
it's necessary.
Because in Poland it is necessary. In the UK, it's also a cultural thing to actually not stand up for yourself. And even if something is like annoying you, you don't even mention it. You just be angry in your own head. If someone cuts in front of you in the queue and you're like, bastard.
Yeah.
But you won't say anything. You'll just suffer in silence.
City versus region rivalries. And this kind of carry, especially in the football, which is funny to me because like people are so hyped about football, but football here, I'm gonna be honest, sucks. Especially compared to like UK, right?
100%. Lewandowski's really good, obviously.
So let me expand a little bit. So not just city and region, but there's also, my friend told me, there's this concept of Polskie A and Polskie B, right? And then they're kind of constantly at war. Can you expand on that topic?
Village mentality and more like city mentality.
That's exactly right.
That's also reflected in how they vote, how they think, what direction they want the country to go into.
Exactly, but this dynamic exists everywhere in the world. But something I do appreciate about here is that even though the people, I have one of my Polish friends who's quite liberal, he's from Poznan, but he still be saying some racist slurs, bro, and he's still anti-illegal immigration, you know? Okay. That seems to be a pretty uniting topic from both people on the left and the right. They're like, no.
Correct.
Yes, and I like that a lot.
People won't say it out loud. However, no one really is in favor of either illegal immigration or mass, you know?
Immigration, yeah.
I think it's a thing that we fear a little bit. So my wife, she's a bit of a sailor. She likes sailing. So she goes to Mazury, right? Which is somewhere around here. And she always, Warszawiaki, you know?
Yes.
Warsaw people.
Totally, yes. To be honest, I know what they mean. I think Warsaw has a lot of entitled NPCs here.
Yeah, yes. And they don't sail with the actual sails. They just turn on like the engine and they're making waves and it's like disrupting the whole actual activity of sailing.
Yeah.
People say Krakusy about Krakow people. I've heard that they're cheap and they're like very like particular in their ways and kind of closed.
And it's also kind of funny because a lot of the people, they say they're from Warsaw, are not even from Warsaw. They move from the smaller cities. And after a couple of years, they're like, no, I'm a Warsaw person now, right?
Yeah, totally.
What will people say? So the constant worry about, reputation and what other people will say. True or false?
True. It's going back to the jealous of the neighbor thing, because really you're constantly thinking of, what will others say? What will others think of this? I think this is holding back a lot of Polish people's potential, you know?
But I also think it's a good thing because it encourages good behavior. You see, the thing that we have in the West...
no shame.
No shame, exactly. And I think shame is very important because it makes the men act right to a certain extent. It prevents women from acting like hoes to a certain extent. Because this is also very common in Asian culture as well, right? And then the older that I get, the more I'm like, yo, shame is important. If you do something bad, if you do OnlyFans, or if you kill somebody, or you bring dishonor to the family name, yes, you should be shamed for it. Because it's a perfect deterrent to those kind of actions.
You gotta find a balance though, because I would consider myself a successful person by my own metrics. I attest that to not caring what people will say. And I had to like overcome the fear of what will people say, what people are saying.
But you still have that fear. You do, because sometimes when we are talking about content ideas, you're like, nah, like, or for example, when I did the video with Hermes, you were like, oh my God, I can't believe that you did it, right? Yeah.
No, for sure. That's a British thing though, I think, it's like, we have been societally kind of scared, muzzled out of like expressing yourself truly and what you think about certain topics. When it comes to like personal growth and progression and chasing your dreams and what you would like to do in life, like I'm totally like, F what other people say, do it.
I think I'm a little bit more extreme in that because I come from America. All right, last one, politics.
Ooh.
This is a
This
big
one
one.
underlines them all. It's sad, you know. Poland, very politicized, I feel like.
I agree.
You know? It's driving a wedge between like the people in this country.
Do you think it's as extreme as like the US though?
No,
No, right?
definitely not.
Because in the US, people won't even be friends with you if you voted for Trump. You know, I mean, right? I don't like saying who I voted for because it's just like, it's not worth the hassle of getting called names and having to explain and go into the reason. Because as soon as you say that you voted for Trump, people just make all these assumptions about you, about how you're a bad
I think it's
person.
the same in Poland.
Is it the same in
I
Poland?
think it's the same in Poland. It is the same in Poland.
Damn.
Depending on how politicized you are, right? And I'm starting to just saying F it all. I'm not into this political game.
Me neither.
It seems like it's just a tool for the few to garner wealth and power, but it's off the backs of the division of society, right?
Sure.
And realistically, I think we've still got more in common with each other, as much as we claim to see all these lines and we disagree. We've got way more in common with each other than like I'd say differences, or at least the people who claim to represent us, right?
So you made a point earlier about, you know, the patriotism being weaponized by the right. But I went to the Independence Day March in Krakow and I noticed that, you know, it seemed like people that were out there were both from the right and left. People weren't really talking about politics. It was more about love of country. And I think that still exists on both sides, actually.
I went too, but you went to the Krakow.
Krakow. You were in the Warsaw one, right?
I will say this. I will criticize Wes right now in Polish spirit. No way this guy posted a video saying, I went to the Independence Day March, but it was Krakow, man.
Yeah, I wanted it to be Warsaw, but
gotta be
my
Warsaw.
I'm gonna go next year. It's just because my family was here and we happened to be in Krakow at the time.
And I went too. It was my first time ever. While I was there, I was like, holy crap. To a lot of people, this is like a no-go zone. And I started getting like messages, because I posted a story that I was there. I started getting messages from like people who, I don't know, follow me, unfollow. I started getting messages from family members, like, what are you doing there? The vibe I got inside was the same as you said. It was about love of country, and it was such a positive experience. Every country needs something like this.
Totally, bro.
It felt so unifying. It felt great to be amongst people who are cut from your cloth and just... It was a great experience. Then there's the other side of it where it's like you're made to feel dirty if you're there. Like, why are you there? So I'm gonna be honest, a lot of people close to me were like telling me, you shouldn't go there, you shouldn't post the fact that you're there. But it's sad because my personal like experience was very positive. And it wasn't like either violent or it didn't seem dangerous, or there were like families there with their kids, like elderly people. Such a mixed bag of people. I don't care. I will be patriotic. I will fly my flag. I'm proud to be Polish. And it's a great feeling to be proud of where you're from and who you are. And you should try it.
And it's contagious. It's so contagious that even foreigners who went there are all wearing the Polish flag and they get caught up in the hype as well. Let me know what you guys think about these in the comments. I thought this was a very interesting discussion. Check out his channel if you guys want to learn English, especially if you're here from Poland. I'll see you guys later.
Thanks for having me. Peace.